look incredible. Come on, man. I'm in this big airport from that thrift shop down the road. I'm gonna
Thank you so much for joining us this week for Talking Trashy with Jack and Liz. This week we've got a very special edition. We have our very first guest. We are going to bring you some snippets of the conversation we had with Catherine Sand from Aspen's Thrift Shop. We want to talk about all the great things they do for the community, how you can help them do great things, and what you can do with those things that they want and those things that really might belong somewhere else.
We're at the thrift shop. It's a beautiful sunny morning. This is overnight, so this is just stuff that's come in this overnight since we packed up. And inside you can see that our piles of thrift are fairly extensive. It's that time of year, spring cleaning time. We are grateful to the community for everything they give us, so thank you for thinking of us, and we turn it around and turn it into goods for customers, and we also turn it into money for non-profits. But we'd like you just to think a teeny bit before giving things to us. That doesn't mean we don't want it, but you can always phone and ask us whether we want it. So for example, a few things this morning that are maybe on the sort of possibly not side, as well meant as these gifts were to us. We've been given some plumbing hose, I think this is. We probably can't sell it, really for reasons of space. It's a rather specific product, and even though I'm sure this costs somebody some money, that's a tough one for us. It may just have to be repurposed by the person concerned or thrown away some other way. Here's another one that's possibly a little bit of a not sure. It's paint. And as we all know in Aspen, paint, used paint, is often frozen. Sometimes it's left out in a garage. This is already cold, so it's been out all night. Frozen paint doesn't work. It's not something we can dispose of. We can't put that in our dumpster. So we'd ask you to take that up to the landfill where our friends will help you figure out what to do with it. But you know, we have a weird and wonderful selection. We have skis. Someone's going to turn those into something great, I'm sure of that. Somebody just brought us a beautiful rowing machine, which is in excellent condition. Just needs a little bit of a dust, but it works perfectly. And the gentleman who brought it in actually asked me how we would feel about having it, and I said, if it works, we'll be thrilled. So we have tons and tons and tons of stuff. It all takes quite a lot of sorting, a lot of work, and thank you to the community for supporting the thrift shop.
So Catherine, thank you for coming.
I'm so honoured. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The thrift shop has been around for a long, long time.
66 years.
Nearly as old as we are.
As you are. Yeah.
You've got 6 months on me. So could you tell us about what your mission is, what the guiding principles are, and then we'll get into some of the more day-to-day mundane aspects of it.
Sure. Well, our mission is to sell gently used products, things that people don't need anymore, to the community, donated by the community, and with the proceeds, because we're an all-volunteer organisation, we fund dozens and dozens, hundreds of non-profits throughout the Roaring Fork Valley and scholarships. So
And about $500,000 last year?
over $500,000 last year.
So that's considerable.
It is considerable. It's a huge amount of money from selling things that people don't want anymore. It's a perfect circle that people give us things that they no longer want or need. We sell them to people who want and need them, and then we give the money to people who want and need that. So there's no downside to the thrift shop.
And I don't think that the town would be quite the way that it is without it, without that spirit, without that volunteer aspect of it. Who makes up the membership of the thrift?
We don't have members. We're all volunteers. There's something like between 130, I think 140 women of all shapes, sizes and ages. Somebody said to me something fun yesterday. They said, how many thrift shops do you think have Gucci and Prada and Chanel right opposite? We're very, very unusual. We're kind of a tourist destination in town, as well as being an essential part of the local fabric. We are Aspen's department store. We like to think of ourselves in that way, because anything you need, you can probably find it. And so we provide all kinds of services to the community like that.
Well, you certainly do good work.
And it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of people doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's the most rewarding thing to do you could possibly imagine. It's very hard work, physically hard work.
Yeah.
But then you also you're integrated. You meet every single person in Aspen, really, from the hugely wealthy people, visitors, to members of our homeless community, a lot of people in Aspen who really, really live at the margins, and we often forget that there are those people, and all those people in different ways depend on us.
Well, I know that there will be an email blast or a text blast from my friends when there's a good load at the thrift store.
Well, this is the time of year. You know, spring tends to bring it out in people. Everyone's clearing out, and there's an amazing amount of stuff coming in, and our job is to shift it into the shop as quickly as possible so that people can come and buy it.
And that is our theme today, spring cleaning. So could you talk to us about some of the practicalities of how people can actually help you best by what they bring, what they choose not to bring, what you can handle, what you can't, and just some of the rules and regulations regarding
rules, of course. You know, we are so grateful to the community for their donations. That's just the first thing to say. We wouldn't exist without the community, and the generosity of people who live here is unbelievable. They're so good to us, and they enable us to fulfill our mission. So the first thing is thank you very much. The second thing is when you're giving something to the thrift shop, we use the term lightly used, but the rule of thumb I always think is helpful is that if the article you're giving is something that you would give your mother, say, or imagine being given yourself, then that would be a good rule of thumb. If it's dirty, if it's absolutely trashed, we probably can't sell it. We get so much stuff. We have to be really careful about the space. We want to keep our quality high so people can actually find the thrift. I mean, if we hung up absolutely everything that came into the thrift shop, there would be you wouldn't be able to find anything. So we sort and grade and try and present to the public the stuff that they're going to want. So it does happen that people give us things that look a bit like bags of laundry occasionally, and you know, I wish we could, you know, launder everything and repurpose everything ourselves. We just don't have the resources to do that. So we ask people to just give a little bit of thought in terms of, for example, clothing, in terms of, let's say, small electrical appliances. Can you make sure it works? We can't fix things, and what people sometimes will turn up, and it's painful to us all to throw anything away, right?
Oh, it's certainly painful to Jack and I.
It is painful, but people turn up with their busted coffee maker and they think, well, somebody could fix this. Maybe someone could fix this. And the truth is, maybe the chances of them coming into the thrift shop and saying the thing they want is not that great. And we probably already have 10 functioning coffee makers.
The point of the thrift shop is not a repair shop. It's a place to pass on gently used things. And that's not the place to pass on something that needs repair. That's what
probably
you're
the
equipped
case.
to do.
I mean, on the other hand, if you give me a chair and the chair's a bit beaten up, a bit worn, maybe your dog's chewed it, but it's a good chair, structurally a good chair, there'll probably be someone who wants that. Same, you know, small furniture. We can't take big furniture.
Well, you don't have the space for it.
We don't have the
I mean,
space for a couch, for example.
You have basically the size of a car parking space. They can't handle, you know, freezers and refrigerators and the appliances. And I know in the past that you've had, you know, I can call it illegal dumping. I'm sure that you don't want to say that, perhaps.
Well, we have a few no-nos. I mean, and I'm prepared to admit to that.
Yeah.
And we have a sign up so people know. We cannot take your tires. We do not want your old cans of paint. We do not want mattresses. We do not want toxic substances. We
have a landfill for that purpose, and that's exactly where that belongs. That's my job.
Right.
And in a certain sense, I don't know that I'm doing my job well if people can't find another place to leave old paint than, you know, the back of the thrift shop.
Right, and the bottom line is it's a little bit grey. You know, somebody actually brought a fridge in yesterday. It's a small mini fridge, super useful. People use them in college dorm rooms. You know, we have a lot of seasonal employees here. Might be super useful for someone. I cleaned it up, give it a little wipe, works perfectly. We'll sell that. We have room for that. We don't have room for a huge freezer or a chest freezer. But if in doubt, call. You can phone us. We can be phoned on 925-3121. And whoever's working on any day will give you some guidance. And people do that.
Yeah?
They'll say, will you accept such and such? And we'll be very honest. And we'll also direct people to the landfill. If they say I have a TV,
Yeah.
we'll say, I'm so sorry, we can't take it.
No, and that's a shame because the landfill can take those electronics any day of the week. All the Pitkin County residents have a credit to work from, so it doesn't necessarily have to cost them anything.
Right.
And all of those materials get properly recycled, and then that space behind your shop can be reserved for those things that can actually make it into the shop and help make the community money,
For the
rather
Gucci and the
than
Prada.
taking up space that could be used for something more useful, because
Right.
you cannot sell that. One of the things that I recently discovered over the last few years, all thrift stores, not just the Aspen thrift shop, but any of the secondhand stores, they can't sell these TVs, even when they work.
No.
And I know that's shocking, and it's very painful for people to hear, but it's true. I mean, all of the secondhand places up and down the valley, they just can't take those materials because no one will buy them.
No, and it's kind of burdensome. And anything where we can't check it. So, for example, you have your air mattress that you no longer need. We all have dozens of these things
Yeah.
lying around. We can't pump that thing up to make sure it works. So if it comes new in a box and it's not been wrapped, of course we'll be grateful to have it. But if you give us your old mattress, we don't know. And we just physically can't pump it up and test it. So we can't sell it. And it wouldn't be fair to our customers who would then complain because what we'd sold them didn't work
And
properly.
they're not a rummage sale. There.
No. And I think people, for the most part, know that. I think, though, that people find it very hard to throw things away. It's painful
Sure.
to them.
And
So
we
it's
don't
much-
want them to
Right.
if it's usable.
Right.
If it's like you were using the example of the chair that's a bit scuffed. Well, it's still a chair. You can still sit in it.
Right.
But a three-legged chair,
Right.
no, perhaps
Right.
that
Perhaps
that
not.
is not the place
Perhaps
for
not.
it to go.
Perhaps-
Maybe
and it's
the drop
painful,
swap.
and that may be very painful for you.
Yeah.
But we can all let go, I think.
Well, I have a story from my past when we were getting ready to move, and I had this old phone, and I hadn't gotten rid of it because it was one of those, someone can fix this, someone can save
Someone
it.
will love it.
Yes, it was this old-fashioned portable phone with the retractable antenna. That's
Jack would probably
I
repurpose
would
it.
love to use it on the set of a TV show that we film here.
and
With our
so it didn't
Suzanne
work.
Plachettes
And my partner literally chased me around the house with it.
whipping you.
No, he just went, what are we going to do with it? He goes, can we throw it away? I said, no, we can't throw it away. Well, can we give it away? No, it doesn't work. We can't give it away. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? He follows me as we're packing from room to room. So we painted it gold, and it's now the family game trophy.
Oh.
So
Oh, I like that.
when we get together
How
on the
ingenious.
holiday,
I'm a
you
bit
get the
jealous.
new
You
gold
have a different
phone.
family to mine then, obviously.
Because
We would have thrown it at each other.
So I relate. It's painful to throw things away.
It is painful, and there are things that have traveled with us our whole lives. And the one thing that working at the thrift shop shows you is that we do have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And people are intrigued by stuff, and we have a lot more than we probably need for the most part. And that's a good thing about the thrift shop, is that everything finds its way somewhere.
Oh, gosh.
And but it is so easy to call and ask us, and for the most part, we take a very broad, generous view of things. We will always try as much as we can to do right by our donors, because if people give us things, they want to see the money raised. They want to see us making some money and doing something with that money.
Right.
They know it. They're part of that circle that I talked
Well,
about.
and they need you to help them, hence calling or asking when you come. That
Yeah.
Something that I frequently do when I'm bringing stuff is ask the ladies and say, I have this.
Right, but call before you fill your
Do
car
you
up
want
with
it?
it.
Right,
Call.
right.
Call. It just takes a minute, and we're open from 10 to 3, Monday through Saturday. So you can phone and somebody will give you some guidance. And if they can't, they'll get you an answer.
One of your own personal passions at the thrift shop, to my knowledge, is the fine art that comes in. And you did the very first ever art sale last August, I think. And that was very successful. Can you talk about that and when the next one
Yeah,
might be?
we're going to have one in August. And very simply, it's because people give us lots of beautiful art. You know, they clear their homes out, and we get lots of very interesting, quirky, cool stuff. And we don't have a lot of space to display it. So my thought was, why don't we gather it all together and sell it all at once? And we did that in the Red Brick last year in September. We're going to do it in August this year. And people came forward and gave us more stuff, and it was pretty wonderful just to see the collection of it all. It was interesting, and it wasn't all highly priced fine art. There were some pieces that definitely, were lots of money, and people bought them happily. But there was also plenty of stuff for. We had a big Aspen poster section of
Aspen history comes through the thrift shop.
We have
with
we have
regularity.
such cool and interesting stuff. So it was partly a way just to showcase some of those things and realize as much money as we could and put that back into the community. So,
well, as people gather up their things, keep in mind, would you give this to your mother? Would you want to receive it yourself?
And
if you're not sure,
yes,
call.
Think of the thrift shop.
And if
We'll be
the
glad.
thrift shop is not able to take it, we have other options. We're going to talk a little bit more later in the show about do-it-yourself, finding new life for things. There's a drop and swap at the landfill, and unfortunately, sometimes it's the end of its life and it does have to go.
Well, particularly with e-waste and stuff, and you have that great thing coming up, event coming up too.
We do. Well, thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank
We're
you.
going to have you back because
I'm really honored.
There's
I'm
no
honored.
end of treasure to be found at the thrift
There
shop.
we have many good stories anyway. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you've been making your brags around town that you've been a lover, my man. But the man I love when he picks up trash, he puts it in a garbage can.
Oh, thank you so much for watching and learning from Catherine Sand from the Aspen Thrift Shop about what to do with those things that you don't want to throw away, but you don't know what to do with. We're going to talk a little bit more of that today. It's spring cleaning season, Jack. You know,
Yes.
it's that time.
And I actually was cleaning yesterday.
Were you?
I
Is it
was.
cleaner?
I'm dirty, so
You're dirty, but the house is clean.
no. The whole I'm a hoarder.
Oh, I definitely have that problem. And one of the things I really like about the Valley, so something that Catherine touched on a number of
Yes.
times, is they have limited space. And so they have limited capacity to take things. But they're not the only secondhand store they're not the only game around.
They are not. We have at least one other consignment store in Aspen proper.
Two.
So there are two.
There are
So
two. There's
Susie's
Uptown
and
Exchange,
Uptown Exchange.
and Susie's.
Okay.
Now, they both specialize mostly in clothing.
Yes.
Clothing and accessories.
And they definitely don't want you to just drop stuff off.
No, since they work on a consignment basis, they've got a pretty high standard, and so they have to say yes before you can leave it with
Mm-hmm.
them. But they're an option.
It's true. And then down valley we have the thrift shop in Basalt, and you should call their number and get their policies. But they take things.
Yeah, and there's
For
a couple
resale.
in Elgibel.
Well, and there's also the one over on Midland. I can't think of the name of that.
Right.
But I bought a great thing there not too long
Did
ago.
you?
Mm-hmm. She has really good taste.
And are
But-
you making it into something else, or are you
No, it
take
was a
it as is?
standalone done piece.
That's how I do most of it. Well, the one in Basalt, they have a lot bigger space. They have a whole room dedicated to furniture.
That's true.
And so if you've got one of those pieces that's too big to take to the thrift shop here in Aspen, you can take it down there. Defiance in Glenwood
Defiance.
Springs,
And-
Restore.
Yeah, the Habitat for Humanity, those two stores are amazing. And increasingly they have restrictions, so you definitely have to get the permission. You can't leave things at any of these places, but there are options other than, leaving it on the street, as so many people do.
Or taking it to the Rio Grande Recycle Center.
Yes, not
Does not
right
belong
to do.
there. So there's also options at the landfill.
That's true.
And I think that there are a lot of folks out there in TV land that don't know that there's a drop and swap. So Jack has prepared a short little video on location at the drop and swap. And so we're going to cut to that, let you guys see the drop and swap with your very own eyes, and then we will talk about it further.
Hi, we're at the Picken County landfill. This is the drop and swap reuse area. This is for items that are in reasonably good condition that other people can take out of here and reuse. If you see a file cabinet, a rug, a lawnmower, a high chair. Items are supposed to be in good, serviceable, reusable condition. We also don't allow upholstered furniture or mattresses or anything that can get wet. As you can see, we haven't been paying very good attention to that rule today. All this stuff, when it spends a night out in the rain or the snow, will be useless, so we just generally go ahead and send it to trash. A lot of people say things like, we would like, this would be great to reuse if somebody would fix it up. That generally is not the greatest barometer for whether or not something's appropriate for being in here. Like these chairs, no one is ever going to fix that wicker. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. There's always hope. Here's a great article, this toy, Arctic Cat. I suppose that thing would run or do something, but that's much more appropriate for the drop and swap reuse area. And there shouldn't be any tires here at all, but there they are. Very nice rims, Mercedes. Only in Aspen, folks.
That is always so entertaining, Jack, and I think it's really useful to see the place in action. But I'm sure in that short video you didn't touch on all the things you'd like everybody to know about the drop and swap out at the landfill.
Well, the drop and swap, the video the day I shot it was not an exemplary day for the drop and swap.
Aspen in the spring?
I know. There was a lot of material that really didn't belong there. We had a set of tires from Mercedes,
right.
which we don't allow tires into the drop and swap. We have liability issues. We have, it's just not right. It's not the right thing to do. But there were aluminum alloyed Mercedes rims associated with it, and so they ended up there. There were some upholstered pieces that we generally don't allow that were in there, but I explained that in the video. But I'll just go over the drop and swap again. The drop and swap is a free service offered to the public. You can drop things off there for free. You can pick things up there for free, but you aren't the determiner about what goes into the drop and swap.
Gotcha.
You have to come to the landfill, come across the scale just like everybody else, talk to the gatekeeper, tell him the nature of the material. Ultimately, he decides whether it is going to be approved to go in there or not. We don't want upholstered items. It's generally best for construction materials or gardening materials.
I've seen skis there.
Skis are great. Snowboards are great. That stuff comes in and goes out quickly. It's open to the wind and the rain. It cannot be for electronics. It can't be for upholstery.
It's got to be a little bit durable because it's not covered. It's an exposed place, like you saw in the video. But metal, I would imagine, like metal shelves. I know.
Metal shelves.
Last time I was out there, there were metal shelves and they were gone the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's also good for casework, meaning, furniture that's like a bookshelf or a dresser that's a little bit more durable. We're going to show you some images of some things that I have repurposed. Some of them that I got from the drop and swap, but mainly stuff that I picked up from yard sales.
Gotcha. So there's that piece of everyone wants to take it to the thrift store first, which if it's something they accept, if it's gently used, if they have space for it, that's certainly an option. But say it's not an option, perhaps it can have a second life.
Yes.
And I know you are quite talented at giving things a second life. And I know we have an image.
So religious. I feel like I've rebirthed.
You are. You lay your hands on that furniture and let it
South
be
is
healed.
coming out of us both. Sorry. Kentucky, Arkansas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Arkansas roots, Kentucky
Living at the
roots.
foot of the cross here on, wow, Grassroots TV.
So let's talk about the kitchen island that you made.
Well, this was, I think that what its original purpose was like a changing table for like a nursery.
Yeah,
it had doors.
I can see that.
I took the doors off, and then those long horizontal pieces that you see there, those were inside, and they, I think, held linens or baby clothes. It had 2 drawers. So basically, I took the doors off and discarded them. I had some old china pulls from another piece of furniture that I bought years ago and reused the china pulls there. And then you can't really see it so well in this picture, but there's some glass antique pulls there that my grandmother, who anything that I have ever done that is like this, I got it from her. She's amazing. Or she was amazing.
I get so much of that salvage everything from all the time I spent with my grandparents.
Well, she had a great eye, and she liked to make things, and I know all of my architecture comes from that side of the family. But anyway, there's another photograph that we have of a black dresser. There are some other pulls that are on that too.
That are on that came
yeah,
from Grandma.
I sent home. Mother had saved them, and they were out in our barn. And anyway, I repurposed them. That dresser there came from way up the frying pan. It's an old dresser, but it's not like truly antique. But it had some really cool lines. You can't really tell it there from that shot because I'm the world's worst photographer. But it was sort of a lime green, and I painted it black, and it looks really, really good.
It does. It looks great.
You haven't seen it in live?
No, I've just seen the pictures, but even with your poor photography, I am very impressed.
Well, one of the things I'm into these days is sort of how to distress furniture and make something that even could be brand new look gently used.
Right.
It's sort of a trend, I think.
I was going to say, you're on trend, aren't you?
Well, you know, of course.
Of course you are. So,
But one of the great things that's going to lead us into in the DIY segment is I'm going to talk to you very briefly about chalk paint. And that's a new product that's made, and it's very inexpensive. This was, I think, $5 at Walmart.
and why is it called chalk paint?
Well, it's full of chalk. It's an acrylic paint, so it breaks down with water. It's low odor, it's non-toxic, it washes up really, really easy. But they add chalk to it. It's an old technique, and it creates a thick paint. It covers in one. I've never seen anything take 2 coats. Even that black piece only took, there were a couple of touch-ups. That was only
and it's
one
something
coat.
that's you
It doesn't
wouldn't
take
have to
2
bring
coats.
to the household hazardous waste facility.
No, this is not hazardous waste.
In comparison to, and this,
is
as well, that's
yeah, but
just
this
a big
is
one.
really expensive.
Oh.
This is $40. I don't know what she does to her chalk paints, but she does something, you know, there's magic.
This is the high-end
it's
chalk
got some
paint.
Harry Potter-ness, 'cause
I
this is
see.
British. And this is Hallmark, from Arkansas to London. But anyway, there are very, you know, we're talking about spring cleaning, and there are many cleaning products out there that are natural and aren't hazardous waste, like ammonia, for instance. I mean, ammonia I mean, I wouldn't drink it, but it's natural.
Right.
It's not
Right.
I mean, I guess it is a chemical. But
It is, well, everything's a chemical.
That's true.
I mean, if we're going to get down to brass tacks, we're all chemical.
That's true. But there are options other than harsh chemicals that you buy in a store that have been manufactured through well, it's all manufactured too. I'm being extremely stupid. So I'm going to move on and talk about the hazardous waste, the household hazardous waste section at the landfill, which is where we collect pesticides and paints and
But
that
you know
sort
what,
of
Jack?
material.
I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna tease you.
What?
Because we're out of time again. We have so much trash to talk about. We're going to have to leave household hazardous waste to the next episode.
All right.
But we'll cover it. We'll come back to it. And
But
we
what
just
if people are desperate to get rid
then
of their
they should
pesticides?
contact you, Jack Johnson, jack.johnson@pickingcounty.com, or me, liz.o'connell@cityofaspen.com, or you can call either one of us at the phone numbers on the bottom of your screen. We hope that you will tune in next time, either live on CGTV or go to the Grassroots website and click on any of our episodes about Talkin' Trashy to learn all about how to dispose less and what you do have to dispose of, how to dispose of it correctly.
E-waste is a big hazard. I'm seeing such a big pattern. Health and pollution problems. We should manage this issue with caution. Non-biodegradable waste leaks into the groundwater as people mine the gold, silver, and copper. Some of this is seen in Guayuu in Nigeria, even in Malaysia, even up in India. 50 million tons of e-waste produced each year, and the number keeps increasing as we grow with fear. The archives of waste piles up affects our lives. There's a problem with privacy and hard drives, fragments and discarded circuit board trauma. When burns work its fingers from removing the solder. Less than 10% of e-waste reused or recycled, which means most of it is found up in landfills. Cancer increases from brominated flame retardants. The toxins from deconstruction also harms the environment. What are they even doing around with all this dumping? Chromium damaging the DNA of organisms. E-waste is a big hazard.
Well, you've been making your brags around town that you've been a lover, my man. What the man I love when he picks up trash, he puts it in a garbage can. And that's what you look like to me, and what I see is a pity. You better go.
Picken County Landfill conserves our environment and extends the life of our landfill through innovative, sustainable methods. They offer educational programs on recycling, composting, and more. Picken County Landfill. We handle it. More at landfillrules.com.